Yeah, I think that probably the most profound early result I had was with my mom, uh, who was a very, very difficult individual, bitter, angry, uh, criticizing, very, very difficult. And after 30 years of marriage, my father was so fed up with my mom that he wanted to get divorced. And I was actually visiting with my parents in Geneva, Switzerland. And at the time, I had just started my studies in homeopathy, and I was reading Vitulcas's Stolen Essences, which were a series of lectures that Vitulcas gave in Northern California, which somebody had transcribed, and then it had been published as the Stolen Essences. And I was reading through those, and I got to the remedy nitricum acidum, which is characterized by being pissed off, pessimistic, and a pest. And it was literally as if George Vitulcas personally knew my mom and was simply describing her. And so I said, wow, I mean, this sounds like a perfect fit. And so I knew enough to ask a few questions. I went up to my mom and I said, Mom, how do you feel about pickled herring, which of course is one of the food desires of nitricum acidum? And she said, ooh, I love it. And so I thought, fantastic, I'll start giving her some nitric acid. And so I gave her nitric acid 6C 4 times a day. I just want to put out there that I wouldn't do that now because of aphorism 247 of the Organon, but I wasn't familiar with the later approaches of the 5th and 6th editions of the Organon, so I was using a more 4th edition posology approach, and I gave her 6C 4 times a day, and she went through a miraculous transformation. She went from this bitter, angry, negative, impossible human being to somebody who's literally singing and dancing around the house. And it ended up that my parents never got divorced. I ended up also curing my father of a prostate issue at the same time. And I remember my father coming up to me and, and this is this old saying, you can't be a prophet in your own hometown and your parents always see you in the same light. Well, my dad came up to me, he shook my hand, he said, I don't know what you've done, but from now on, I support you 100%. And my parents never ended up getting divorced. And I mean, even years later, when I would, talk to my mom on the phone, I would think like, who is this person? That's how profound the transformation was. And I love that story because yes, homeopathy can cure your colds and your flus and even serious conditions like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, but it also can profoundly and dramatically, as Hahnemann writes in Aphorism 9 of the Organon, can profoundly, dramatically change your entire life and allow you to reach the lofty goal of human existence.